Devils Wednesday. This is the State of the Fan address. I am your host, Sam Wu, here with Pucks and Pitchforks editor-in-chief, Nick Villano. Tonight's episode is episode 37. 37 episodes of this fine podcast, State of the Fan address, powered by Pucks and Pitchforks blog on the Let's Go Devils podcast network, powered by Nova Product Design from Primetime Radio. Nick, tonight's title of the podcast is Play Smarter, Not Harder. Alain Nasreddine, I didn't get the exact quote, but he was basically saying they weren't playing smart yesterday. And I think that's just kind of the recurring theme, some of the issues that the New Jersey Devils have had all season, but they're improving on it. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk between us and the writers about what the Devils should kind of do moving forward. I've noticed there's a lot less tank talk. I think because a lot of people kind of didn't want it to come to this, and they didn't want to talk tank because they thought that we were going to be fighting for a playoff spot, things like that. So I just don't think they want to talk about it. But at the same time, it makes as much sense as it did last year. But I think with them playing a lot better, a lot of people are kind of like, well, let's kind of just see where this goes. This obviously isn't going to go to a playoff spot. This isn't going to go to anything significant for this season. But I've kind of made this point a couple times, is that you got to start teaching these guys how to win. Like Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes and Jesper Boquist and Jesper Bratt and Pavel Zacha and Miles Wood, like these guys just like be outside of one season. The majority of the time they've been here, they've been learning how to lose. And I think it's about time, Sam, that we've taught them how to win.
Yeah. And that's part of the winning culture and mindset. We talked to Bryce Salvador about that a few weeks ago, probably about a month ago. It's getting in the right mindset and the right habits and getting back down to basics. I love what Nasreddine has done so far, but there is more to be done. But they are being steered in the right direction, and it's just the simple things that they need to execute. Hey, you know what? They are playing pretty gritty. I mean, what about Mackenzie Blackwood taking that shot, losing teeth in the process, and hanging in there? I mean, you gotta love the character of this team that's coming out. But again, one game at a time. They play the New York Rangers tomorrow at Madison Square Garden, and it should be very interesting to see. I'm going to predict that it's probably going to be a defensive game. But of course, as a fan, I would love to see the New Jersey Devils trash them in their own building at Madison Square Garden. But right now, game by game, I'm seeing improvement with this team overall.
Yeah, I mean, remember a couple weeks ago, we were kind of worried because the New York Rangers were kind of creeping up to a playoff spot, but they've fallen back down to earth. So that's nice to see. It's we don't want the Rangers to be that far ahead on their timeline than us. So thank goodness for small miracles. But again, it's all relative because we're both going to end up in the same spot. But you definitely want to beat the Rangers, but if you're a Devils fan, if you're a Devils player, if you're Devils ownership, if you're Ray Shero, you want to get some wins. And then like you said, you like what you've seen from Nasreddine. Nasreddine, I think, has done a really good job. But I feel like all Nasreddine has done is kind of the things that they should have just did in the beginning. Like, he's allowed them to play together and build chemistry, and the system is similar. There's similar issues in the system. You're getting ridiculous performances from Mackenzie Blackwood. Mackenzie Blackwood has been one of the best goalies in the league over the past 4 weeks. Since December 1st, he's been kind of out of this world ridiculous. and he's been carrying the load. Domingue got hurt. We only saw Sen for that one game, and he's played almost every game since. So I do want to give Nasreddine credit because he did something that Hines couldn't do. Hines just couldn't make these simple adjustments to kind of get this team to play a lot better, and Nasreddine has done that. And look at the Devils, who the Devils are beating. They beat Boston the other day. They beat the Islanders, and they just took the Islanders to overtime yesterday. So, the Islanders, the number 2 team in the Metropolitan Division, this is a team that's playing well against really, really good teams.
Yeah, and again, my expectations of this New Jersey Devils team right now is the future. I'm not expecting a St. Louis Blues Hail Mary comeback from January 4th on. I just want to see, as a fan, improvement, maturity, execution going into the next season. I would love to have that high top 6 pick in the draft lottery. I would love to see who Ray Shero picks with his 2 first rounders in the upcoming deep draft, is what some experts are saying. I have hope right now, and these games are fun to watch. They're competitive now, but that's just the first step. And I just it means a lot to me as a fan that Mackenzie Blackwood gets his teeth knocked out, and it's like he's a hockey player. I mean, that's just not easy to do. And I appreciate him sacrificing his own physical well-being, where anybody could just throw the towel in. But I just like the grit this team is showing. Damon Severson, after that unfortunate incident where he put the puck in his own net in overtime, but to come back in a shootout and score one, and then wear the team jacket. That's the stuff I'm looking for, where they can elevate their confidence and build that chemistry. And again, credit Nasreddine by just keeping it simple and not changing the lines every 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean that's all we've asked for, just a little consistency. So I think Nasreddine's done that. I think he's done a really good job of just kind of getting these guys on the just rolling with these lines. Even if they lose, he still sticks with that line. Those lines played well. So I think he's done a really good job with the circumstances. That being said, Sam, I think he has no shot to get the job full time. I don't think there's any way that Ray Shero, this is his last coaching hire, unless the next guy retires. He's not going to be able to go on a coaching search again. And I don't think he's going to go to the guy who was in house, who was perceived as part of the problem before.
Yeah, but again, Ray Shero tends to be very patient with coaches. He does have the interim tag. They are improving. It's a matter of, would they trust Nasreddine in the future? Again, time will tell in the next 3-4 months. But I think as Nasreddine has earned my respect, as a fan, that he's correcting a whole host of problems one by one. But again, you can't live and die by having your goaltender save you every single night. You're going to wear Mackenzie Blackwood out. But what's nice about Mackenzie Blackwood is he's stepping up to the plate. He's not playing like a rookie right now. He's playing like a leader, and he's showing it. Oh, bless you, Nick.
Sorry.
And no, it's okay. It's all right. I have the luxury of going to your screen, cough button, and then come back and anyway, this is what happens when you do live podcasts on video. It's very, very hard to cover it up. By the way, just I'm going off tangent here. Matt Junio, we did a live podcast at PJ Ryan's yesterday. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties with the internet where our antenna fell down and we weren't able to get it back up. Yeah, it fell down, hanging. It didn't kill anybody, so that's good. That's the fortunate news. But we had to pre-record it, so we'll put it out tomorrow. We'll live replay a pre-recording of a pre-game of the previous game, so it's going to be somewhat outdated a little bit. But we also are going to announce that this Sunday, Bruce Driver and I will be on the Woo Report at PJ Ryan's Sunday pre-gaming before the Devils take on Tampa Bay. Anyway, I just had to get that plug in there, but just so everybody knows that Bruce Driver is going to join me on the Woo Report Sunday around 5:30, 6 p.m. at PJ Ryan's. Carry on, Nick. I had a plug. I'm sure
you're fine. No, I mean, I think that, I do think the thing that scares me is it seems like that the reason why they're being successful lately is all Blackwood, though, but there are a couple players, Nico Hischier's been playing out of his mind. Nico Hischier's the best player on the ice most nights, which is really good to see. It's not something I expected him to do this season. I expected probably another year or two before he was able to do that, but he's just dominating games. He's skating through people. He's stiff-arming people. He's getting the puck into hard areas. Nico's been a guy I've been really impressed with. PK Subban's really coming on. He's getting a lot of hate from a lot of people. And finally, he seems to be thriving off of it and all that negativity. And he just needed time to adjust. And, they've kept him with Andy Green for a little while. And I don't like that pairing. And I see that they're both mistake-prone defensemen and for completely different reasons. So I don't know if they're the best pair, but the fact that he just gets to get used to one pairing seems to have done him well, very well. So, I've been impressed with Subban. I've been impressed, Vatanen, besides the mistake in overtime yesterday, I've been impressed with Vatanen. Obviously, it's hard to ignore the mistake. The mistake was bad on the 3-on-1 where he kind of just looked like he forgot what he was going to do. He just kind of skated into the goalie, and it was bad.
Hey, we all have brain farts.
Yeah, but we all don't get paid $4.5 million.
Well, yeah, that too. But hey, we neglected to say that we have Corey Masisak coming onto the program.
We do.
From the Athletic New York. Corey, I love Corey's analysis. If you don't subscribe, there's 2 subscriptions that I got myself renewed. I renewed my Athletic subscription because I love Corey's work as much as I love your work, Nick Villano of Pucks and Pitchforks. I love Corey's analysis, but also I gave myself a Christmas present. I subscribed to Chris Ryan's text messages, $4.99 a month. Fantastic, especially when you do a live podcast. It's like the Cliff Notes for me.
There you go.
So I make sure that I remember everything that has gone on. But it's really cool. I highly recommend it. And again, don't steal. I know some of you people do it. These reporters work very, very hard each day to put out great content. Anyway, just wanted to go on my little spiel right there. But yeah, so we'll have Corey on. We'll be asking him a lot of questions, his thoughts about the team. Should we get him soon? Did we schedule him at 9:20? Okay. All right. Well, why don't you talk to Facebook Live, Nick? Facebook.com/ Let's Go Devils podcast. There you go, Nick.
Yeah, so let's see what I saw a couple of people talking about how good Nico's been. Matt Jr. says Boquist looks good. Coleman looks good. Yeah, I think Coleman looks good. Boquist is fine. I wouldn't say good yet. And David Decker brings up Gusev. Gusev, I don't how quickly I forget. Gusev has been out of his mind lately. He's been really scoring well. He's kind of really figuring out why he's been here. Now, David Decker says PK has to shoot the puck. Now, David, I'm going to change it up a little bit. PK Subban has to shoot the puck on net. He shoots plenty. He just misses the puck sometimes. I'm sorry, he misses the net sometimes. 8 points in 6 games. I think it's funny that everybody's been sharing this tweet from a Philadelphia reporter talking about how he didn't understand how Nico Hischier got that 7-year deal and how it didn't make sense. He has 0 points in 7 games or something. So something to that ilk is kind of where he was going with it. And I was just kind of, that was a bad tweet in the moment. And it looks even worse now. Gusev has been the most improved player since Hines got fired. Now, John, I think he was actually on the upswing before Hines got fired. I think that this started, he just really needed to get used to the North American ice. It's a lot different. There's not a lot of open ice. The guys weren't as open for him as they usually were. It was a much different playing style. I do think it's time to take him off that line. I think we need to put Zacha on that line with Coleman and Zajac. We need to fix Zacha because Zacha is bad this year. Zacha is a bad hockey player, and he needs to be better because we signed him. We committed to him, and he needs to just be better. I don't know what happened. I don't know if missing part of training camp hurt. I don't know if the drama at the beginning of the season hurt him. It definitely hurt Wood when he had a little holdout situation. So I don't know. Zacha has to be better, so I need to put him with the guys that are fixing other forwards. So Zacha got first-line play, and I saw somebody in the comment section earlier say he looked lost, and I agree with you. He just wasn't – he looked like he was out of place. And, you took this guy – we got to get over the fact that he was the 6th overall pick. It happens. John still has faith in McLeod. I love McLeod. I'm not sure why they sent him down. Especially now that you have Ben Street here. Ben Street's not a guy you're going to spend a lot of capital on in the future. Maybe he's a 4th liner down the road. I do not like that 4th line of Ben Street, John Hayden, and Kevin Rooney. That does not create confidence for myself. So I'm not a fan of that. I kind of hope. David Decker saying, I've been hearing PK gets traded, we eat some salary. So, David, that would be the worst decision on a multitude of reasons. A, you're trading an asset. You're not going to get back what you traded for him. You're going to eat salary, and then you're also not even going to get back a prospect that Jeremy Davies was, and you're probably not even going to get a 2nd-round pick. So you're going to get a 3rd-round pick and a do-nothing prospect just to get PK off the books. You have to play this through with PK. You got to give him a shot. And on top of that, PK Subban needs a chance. You can't send the message to the rest of the league that I give up on star players. You can't send that message to the rest of the league. You can't do it. You can't trade PK right now. It doesn't make sense on a multitude of fronts. You have to give it 1 full year, and you have to go into next year with him because if you trade him now, you're going to tell the rest of the league, you're going to tell the rest of the league's players, hey, I trade star players the second it looks like it's not going to work out.
I've been saying the same thing on some of the podcasts recently, Nick, and I cite you, the source, who came up with that explanation.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, our next guest on the Bobby's Auto Care hotline, he's from The Athletic, New York. Love his work. I subscribe to The Athletic. I've been a big fan of Corey Masisak since the Washington Capitals days and followed him. And when he came to New Jersey, I was very, very happy. Pleased to welcome to the State of the Fan address, Corey Masisak. Corey, you're on with Sam and Nick. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing well, Corey. We really appreciate having you on, especially in much better times.
This is much better times?
Well, there's been times of the year where we've had to talk about 7-game losing streaks and hey, we haven't won 3 games in a row yet this season. And hey, what's the latest Taylor Hall rumor? So now I get to talk to you about improvement. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's definitely been a little bit quieter, a little less hectic, a little less like, oh no, can I go into this movie theater right now? Days on the beat, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it seems like everything's kind of falling into place with the Devils, and I know a lot of the people are kind of going back to that Taylor Hall trade and kind of doing their own kind of math there. Are you seeing a different team after the Taylor Hall trade, or do you think it's not a correlation? Do you think it's kind of something besides that?
Well, I mean, there's basically, to me, there's like three different factors here. And the fact is that all of this stuff kind of happened at the same time. So, like, how much of what you're seeing now is they changed the coach, how much of it is they traded the best player, and how much of it is some combination of those two things, plus just the general, like, I mean, obviously everybody around the room is just sort of, there was sort of this kind of like, anvil lifted off of everyone's shoulders. And like, that's part of that. That's partly good because the team is playing like kind of more free and, they're using all these like buzzwords, like we're more confident now and all that. But at the same time, it's also like the third part of that is like, it's basically everyone just stripped away all the expectations. And now like everyone's like, oh, well, this team's going to be terrible. And so now they're like the plucky underdogs again. And they're playing, with a little more like they don't have the weight of the world on their shoulders. And that's, that's probably going to help them. But at some point they're going to add more good players again. And they're going to run, we're going to kind of be back in this same circumstances they were at the beginning of this year, and we'll have to see how they handle it again. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't think that like, oh, they traded Taylor Hall and now they're suddenly playing better because of that. I think it's like a little bit of all three of those things. And like, I think the third thing where it's like, there's no expectations on them anymore. They know that they've kind of been left for dead. And like they're facing a bunch of backup goalies and they don't think that anybody respects them anymore. Like, I think all of that stuff is sort of playing into the, and like I said, they changed the coach. I mean, the coach, like there hasn't been a whole lot of stuff that's changed with the new coach, but like whenever you change the coach, you can change the message and you can kind of give everyone, everyone says, hey, look, you've got a fresh slate, clean slate. Don't have to worry about those, 25 terrible games you guys just played. Just go out and start fresh. And there have been some things that they have done better since that happened.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You can see on the ice, it just looks like a different team. Like if you want to look at the advanced stats, if you want to look at the eye test, you want to look at the 5 tools, no matter what kind of, hockey watcher you are, this is a better team. And I do have to credit Nasreddine. One thing that I think he has changed is he doesn't change a lot. His change is his lack of change. I think that we've seen the same lines go out, or a variation of the same lines, maybe with a player in here or a player in there, but we've seen something similar for the past 10 games. Do you see that as something that's helping, or do you think that's just kind of, the team is playing well and we're just going with what's going well?
Yeah, it does seem like that's been like such a flashpoint. Really, I guess probably for the last couple of years now. And I just did a thing with our Nashville writer now that they've hired John Hines, and that was one of the questions was about the line changes. I think some of that is a chicken or the egg thing. Like if the team starts playing better, then any coach like leaves the lines alone, and if the team plays worse, then any coach does change the line. Maybe not as frequently as others. And so whenever we were maybe, I don't know, so I guess it would have been about 7 or 8 games into Nasreddine's tenure, someone asked him about, keeping the lines together during a couple, they lost a couple games in a row. And I was like, so I put it to him. I was like, look, was this something whenever you got the job, was this in your mind that you weren't going to change the lines every time there was a couple of bad games, or you were going to try to stick with stuff for longer? And he sort of danced around it a little bit, but he also kind of said, yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it is like, you're basically, every team is just looking for like 1 or 2 lines that you can definitely count on to stick together. And so like that Coleman, Zajac, Gusev line has clearly become like the go-to consistent thing the whole, since, and that goes back to the last few games of John Hines' tenure. And so once you put that line together, and then that Nico Hischier is probably going to be the number one center, and Kyle Palmieri is probably going to be the number one right wing. It sort of pieces all sort of start to fit together, and there's really only a couple of lines that you can mess with. And so I really think that was probably the biggest thing. Like, I even think back to, the year they made the playoffs. Like, I mean, I'm sure Hines like fiddled with the lines more than an average coach would for a playoff team, but I don't think it was that much, because like I go back to that. I had gone back and looked at that year, and there were a couple of lines that spent 45 or 50 games together.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you're not going to see those same results. Kind of changing gears here. Just with their play and with how they've played, do you think that's going to change the philosophy now? Is that going to change Ray Shero, how he's going to approach the trade deadline? Obviously, he seemed to make it a point that he wanted to trade Taylor Hall by a certain date. And I think that was the trade freeze that happened in December. Do you see that with them playing better, that maybe he'll take a couple chances on some of these impending free agents and letting it play out? Or do you think that, there still could be a fire sale?
I don't think the way that they've played the last 10 games is going to have a drastic effect on anything that he wants to do in February. I think the biggest thing that will have an effect on what happens in February is, basically what, if any of those three other kind of, big name free agents want to, if they want to sign them to new deals for next year, or if they want to work on that for whatever. I mean, I think, because like part of it is like a lot of them playing better is still just the fact that the goalie is stopping the puck more. I went back and looked actually for a story that just went up on our site today about, it has a whole bunch of stuff in it, but one of the things in there is, if you just look at the scoring chance numbers and the expected goals and the shot attempts, all that stuff, offensively they're doing a lot more. They're generating a lot more, but they're also giving up way more. Like all of the percentages are actually down in the quote unquote Alain Nasreddine era, because they're actually giving up more. And some of that is, it's like 12 games or whatever it is. It's every game. Like that game in Chicago skews the offensive numbers because they put up a touchdown, and then conversely, the last couple games where they've given up a crap load of chances might skew the defensive stuff. But I mean, look, it looks more appealing on the ice because it's back and forth and trading chances, and it looks way more fun. I mean, it's certainly more fun to watch even from the press box. But I don't know if that's like, I don't know if anybody has like said in the front office, like, okay, hey, this is how we want to play. We want to have 32 chances and give up 36 instead of having 17 and giving up 20. I don't know if there's really been anybody, like any one player that's like, hey, Sammy Vatanen's got way, 7 or 8 points since Nasreddine became the coach. We should keep him. I don't think that's going to affect their decision making. If anything, I think the better Sammy plays, the more likely he's going to get traded. But I also think that he's probably the most likely of anyone on the roster at this point to still get traded.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, he's the one with the most value, I would think. And, being an impending free agent and seeing the market for right-handed defensemen in the past couple of years, I do think that definitely makes sense. So we've heard Ray Shero say in his press conference after the Taylor Hall trade that he doesn't see this as rebuild 2.0. He sees this as just kind of a move that he felt like he had to make. I have a lot of fans coming into my DMs and telling me that they just don't believe that. They're worried. They're like, oh, we can't take a couple more years of this. Corey, you've been around hockey a long time, and it always hasn't been with the Devils. The teams, how they work. And I'm just curious, do you see something here that they could build upon do you see the makings of a contender here? I know it's too early to tell, but do you feel like that the pieces are there and they just have to try to rework the chemistry? Or do you think that they do need to probably try again with the, breaking it down and building it back up?
I think, how do I put this? I think if they were trying, the easiest way, if you took out all of the other factors, and there's a lot of factors, but if you took out everything and just stripped it all down to one simple thing and saying, okay, what gives us the best chance to win the Stanley Cup in, let's say, 5 years or whatever, or what gives us the best chance to win multiple Stanley Cups while Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes are on this team? I think, this is me personally, but I think they probably have another year or two of, I think they need, they're obviously going to get a high pick in the 2020 draft. I think they could probably use another one. And I think that, any other, and then whether or not that is, you consider that to be like a full scale. I don't look at that as like a full scale. Oh my God, it's going to be another 5 years before they make the playoffs again. I think it just might be. I think basically the big kind of 30,000-foot question here is: does next season? Do they feel like they have to play for next season? Do they feel like they have to try to make the playoffs next season? And I think, to me, a rebuild would be you don't worry about making the playoffs next season, and then basically the quote unquote window starts with the following season. I think that proceeding with that idea would give them the kind of the largest opportunity, the largest percentage chance of, being a Stanley Cup contender, winning the cup, winning multiple cups with Jack and Nico. There's lots of other stuff that goes into it, though, obviously, and some of that stuff, like the fact that they haven't won in so long, the fact that fans are restless, all that, that does play into it. I mean, it's still business. The guy who makes the ultimate decision on the big ticket things has to sign off on everyone's check. So, I do think it's possible that they can get to that same point without, with basically just running it back next year and saying, let's get the 2020 pick. Let's, they're going to need to find replacements for Taylor Hall and Sammy Vatanen and whoever, if Wayne Simmons is gone, they got to find a Wayne Simmons type player. I think you can just sort of spin it back and try to win next year and kind of move forward from there. I just think that that's that's a needle that you have to thread that's a little bit tougher to do than just kind of giving yourself another shot at a franchise player in the 2021 draft and making a couple more play for the future trades next year and all the stuff that would entail that. So I don't, that's sort of how I look at it. But if you look at some other teams or sports or whatever, like the 76ers, people thought they took way too long to get to where they are now. But now you look at them now and they have, one of the 4 or 5 best teams in the league, and they've got probably a window of 5 or 6 years here to try to win with those guys.
So we only got you for a couple more minutes, Corey, and we kind of want to get to you. We've seen you put a couple of good pieces on The Athletic the past week, but the one we were talking about is, you kind of held yourself accountable, and you went through some of the predictions for the preseason and kind of how wrong we all were on it. Maybe just explain that real quick. Obviously, don't give it all away because we want, people to subscribe to The Athletic and get some kind of promo code that's out there. But, kind of tell us what your thought process on was that, and tell us one that you kind of saw that you're like, oh, what was I thinking?
Okay. So at the beginning, for the most part, I would say probably 80 or 90% of the stuff that I write for The Athletic is basically just what I come up with, what I want to write about from being around the team or, having sort of brainstorm ideas with my editor. There's stuff along the way that we basically have. I have a local editor in New York, and then we also have NHL people who kind of run the whole league. And we'll have stories where every beat writer will do this story, right? So the one of the things that we did in the preseason was everybody needed to do a story that was 10 bold predictions. Well, I got a little overzealous because, there was lots to write about with the Devils at the time, and I didn't think 10 would cover it, so I did 15. And I think technically 16 actually, but the last one was a cop out. I did not say where Taylor Hall was going to be playing next year. But so 15 bold, quote unquote bold predictions, and I've always felt like if you make a bold prediction, it's got to have it shouldn't be something that has a high hit rate or a high chance of coming true, because then that's not very bold. So it was, just throw some stuff out there that some of it was if everything goes right. I know other writers did like if things go wrong, this is what it'll look like. But obviously in the preseason, it seemed like all systems were go towards something pretty good or even potentially special happening in New Jersey. So so it was 15 bold predictions, and then we get to the halfway point of the season, and we get another email saying, "Hey, everybody, go back and revisit your bold predictions from the." And as soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh no," because I remembered what some of them were. And I mean, the fact that the number one on the list, like I think I made a joke in the original story about coming in hot or something, but number one on the list was that Corey Schneider was going to have a better save percentage than Henrik Lundqvist. And there was some rationale behind that. He actually, I think it was up until, from the minute that Corey got to New Jersey until the end of last season, they actually had the exact same save percentage. They obviously, Corey was up and down, and maybe Henrik was a little more consistent. But look, I can rehash all of the things that happened to Corey in the last year that, in September, it was like, hey, it looks like maybe he's figured it out again and he's going to be okay. And then obviously very quickly went the other way. So that was probably the most egregious one that has absolutely no chance of ever happening. But, there's a couple other ones in there that are still, I think one was Ty Smith was going to play for a gold medal at the World Juniors and play in the Memorial Cup. And that was before he had actually been sent down. So I get a little bit of credit for being a couple days ahead on that. But, we're halfway there with that one. So I don't know if Spokane is actually going to make a run towards the Memorial Cup. They have not been as good as I thought they might be. But, so it was a fun exercise. There was some, chances to make a couple of jokes at my own expense, get a good Simpsons gif in there, all a good time.
Now, I think you do have a chance of the Corey Schneider prediction as long as the save percentage in Binghamton can go against Henrik's save percentage in New York. I think that's fair.
He has, he has had three really good games in a row down there. I don't think anybody. I mean, I saw him whenever I was just down there this past weekend, and I just saw him and talked to him for a couple minutes. I mean, I don't think he has any. I don't think it's in his mind that oh man, if I just have a couple more good games, they're going to call me back up. I think he knows that he's going to be down there for a while, and he's going to need to show them many games in a row of playing well before they give him another chance. And even if he comes back up and kind of does what he did last year, had put together a few good games at the end of the year, I don't know if that's going to be enough to save him from a buyout this summer.
Yeah, absolutely not. I think that the only thing that kind of has me on edge is the Seattle draft looming, and I know they have to make a goalie available, but that's a whole nother year away. And then you just sign a free agent and you can make them available. So
yeah, and they still. I mean, we have no. Gosh, think about where we were a year ago with Blackwood. Even a year and a half from now, Akira Schmid could be clearly the number one goalie in the organization, or could be washed out in the ECHL somewhere. So it's that sort of goalies are all kind of voodoo, and that's the one. I think you can sort of plan for Seattle already with the other two positions, but the goalie thing is, I don't. And the other thing is Seattle's only going to want 2 or 3 goalies anyway, so they're not going to screw out over every team that is in trouble with the trying to protect 2 goalies or 1 goalie or whatever. So
yeah, I remember when we were talking about Vegas coming in the league, and we were just looking at the goalies that were going to be available, and we thought they're they're going to have Marc-Andre Fleury, Roberto Luongo, and basically they were going to have 3 starting goalies, and when you really thought about it, you're that doesn't make sense. It's because nobody thought they were going to be able to put together this really good team. They thought they were going to be stuck with 3 or 4 star players. They're going to trade to other teams. But anyway, Corey, I really appreciate you coming on. Great insight. I think the fan base is a little more excited to watch games. I think that they're happy to be watching games. Maybe not as much chatter about the Devils because, no Taylor Hall trade, but once the Sami Vatanen and eventually probably Kyle Palmieri rumors that everybody's going to put them in, then they'll get back into the zeitgeist. So I appreciate you coming on, Corey.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Thanks for having me. I will concur that, like I said before, I don't know if what's happening right now is going to continue for the rest of the year, and if that's necessarily the way that there's going to be some sort of organizational shift, that this is the way that they want to run and gun like this forever. But for now, I mean, I think back to some of those games last year at the end of the year when they were undermanned and trying to basically drag the better team down into a 2-1 fight in the mud, and I kind of like this better, to be honest, just as a unbiased observer. So
it's definitely a lot more fun to watch, Corey. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That is Corey Masisak of The Athletic, giving us some great insight going on with the New Jersey Devils. If you haven't subscribed to The Athletic, I suggest you do that, because it's not just Corey, it's all sports. When the Giants hired Joe Judge, where was I going? To The Athletic. And, of course, fan-sided. And then, of course, I get a little distracted, and then I'm back at Pucks and Pitchforks blog.
I was going to say, for Joe Judge, you might want to go to the bar, drink that one off.
They're going 14-2 next year. Mark my words.
Yeah, they're going to get pick number 14 and pick number 2.
All right, stop it, Nick. You're just upsetting me right now. But you know what we should start doing, because we're going to play that game, because I know Vinny Parisi's up on deck tonight, but I want to introduce the tip jar. We had the tip jar at our live event at PJ Ryan's, and we got a couple tips. We are now $34,999,989 away from our beautiful private jet, our $35 million private jet that we want to buy so we can take you, the Devils fans, around the NHL globe, wherever an NHL game is played, to watch our Devils beat their team in their building as we do an NHL arena invasion. Thank you for those that have donated. Thank you, Matt Junio. He donated yesterday. PJ Ryan's is a great place to watch the Woo Report and the Let's Go Devils podcast. And hopefully we got to get you up here, Nick, for the State of the Fan address powered by Pucks and Pitchforks.
Yeah, I mean, we have some opportunities coming up, and we'll discuss. We got to look at the schedule. We've been talking about this for a while, but my schedule is on the precipice of evening out. So, we can actually make some plans, and we can actually, go to some games. Maybe I can have, a couple brewskis with the Devils fans. You got to eat, get in the cheap seats with some of these guys, and then go into the black section, and do they still do free food? That was a big thing for me when I used to go to Peru. But last time I went, they didn't have it. So I was trying. Do they still do it?
You talking about free food in the press box, or are you talking about free food downstairs?
Downstairs in the black seats.
I believe it's still. I think it's. I think the meal plan is part of the ticket. I believe. I would have to check with my good friend Greg Aarons, who sits in Section 8 housing and Section 19. So I will ask him, and maybe I can get back to you all a little bit later on that. But I'm not
gonna lie, Sam. I bought a very expensive. I bought an expensive ticket for the Panthers, which was like $100 because it's the Panthers. But I was sitting like a couple rows out, and I was like, "Where's the food? Where's?" I was looking around. I was like, "There's no food." So I was very upset because part of that $100 in my head was, I'll see a Devils game and I'll get free dinner. But Sam, I didn't get the free dinner, so I was very upset.
Well, I would be upset too. But if I do go on my excursion, see, what I'm going to do is get a little preview of what it's like to be on a private jet. I'm going to go down to Florida in March. When I go down to Miami, I'm going to eat a lot of food at the Bahama Breeze that's outside of the arena, and then walk in. I'm going to get free parking, walk in. I'm going to eat some more. Screw the New Year's resolutions. I'm just going to pig out. And then afterwards, I'm going to hightail it over to Tampa. And I hope I hope your schedule works out where we can just hang out and do podcasts before the game randomly and call our fans and all the New Jersey contingent, all the snowbirds, everybody out to hang out with us. I mean, I know Winnie in the Facebook group is all about us, and I promised her that I would let her know that. But for now, we're at PJ Ryan's, Tip Jar. See, we don't lie for our private jet. See, full disclosure there. This is what this money's being raised for. But anyway, I just put this thing out there the other day, and it was pretty cool. People look at it, it's like, oh, excuse me, and they put money in for our private jet, and trying to explain it to people. They get it. They know we're fans, But who knows?
You got to get the private jet. You got to get it. You got to understand. It's time to get the private jet.
You know what I need to do? I need to call my season ticket rep and be like, look, I need to talk to Joshua Harris. He's got to have a used one somewhere, buy a pre-owned private jet. Be like, Mr. Harris, I love your New Jersey Devils team, except for what's going on the ice right now. But I know you're working on it. But yeah, I'm gonna have a spare private jet laying around, or I know you got helicopters and helipads and all that, and see what he says. Maybe he'll sell me one for $17 million, so we don't have to work so hard to raise money.
Yeah. On a side note, Sam, the Binghamton Devils just won their 5th straight game. They won in a shootout against the Amerks. Mikhail Maltsev scores the shootout winner, giving them a 4-3 win. Joey Anderson had a shootout or penalty shot in overtime, and he failed. But Devils still win the game. It's 5 in a row for the B-Devs.
Wow! And you know what? I was really on the Devils when both Binghamton and New Jersey were losing like crazy simultaneously. I don't know if it was a coincidence. Both teams were slumping, but it kind of sucked because the team that you thought was probably going to go to the playoffs, New Jersey Devils, they were really bad. And then, well, what about our farm system? And I think they were on a 9-game losing streak before it ended, but it's good. It's good. Eric Selden writes, cheap seats, Thunder Road at Amalie Arena. I love Amalie Arena. That's a good arena if you're, a visiting team, a fan of a visiting team to go to. I mean, I love how you just walk there, and they basically have a nice party right in front of their front door on their patio, their gigantic patio. And then there's statues around. I love Florida, Nick. You're a very lucky man that you get to live down there year round.
Life ain't so bad. You ready for this game? I got a good one for you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I better get Vinny Parisi on him. So
you got to go get him. You got to go get him.
We got to transition this, Nick.
The professional transition. We are professional podcasters. So I'll go back to the Facebook. Love Thunder Road, Eric. We talk about Thunder Alley or Thunder Road at Amalie Arena. I think it's the Thunder Alley is the thing I'd say, but it's a very, very awesome arena. It's a very good ambiance. They got rid of the bar that was outside, and that kind of made it so much more fun. But Todd McConnell asking, where's Shorts Guy? I don't know, Todd. I'm Nick. I am the editor-in-chief of Pucks and Pitchforks. I am not Shorts Guy. Shorts Guy is a teacher. So I don't know. I don't know where Shorts Guy went. Should go to an IHOP or a Chili's. John, that makes me very upset. That is your recommendation for restaurants. I'm not going to lie to you, John. I'm a little sad. It's going to be hard to beat the Rangers. I don't... Sure, Ramona. I mean, I think they used Sherskin yesterday or today. Yesterday, so I think we're gonna get Lundqvist tomorrow. But the way the Devils been playing, they've been playing a kind of game that I don't know if the Rangers are going to have to rely on Artemi Panarin to try to win that game. I don't know if that's really what they want to do. They just beat the Avalanche, but that was after losing to the Oilers, Flames, and Canucks. That was a Western they did the Western Conference road trip. They get to play at home. They get to, they're probably flying high from beating the Avalanche, but I don't know. I'm a little confident going into tomorrow's game. I really like the Devils' chances. I think that the Devils are going to win tomorrow, and I'm going to be very excited. Eric flies down here once a month, regardless of opponent. It is a great arena, Eric, and it's Tampa. I mean, say what you will about Florida. We got Flocka, Gators, and Florida Man, but the weather is nice, and the arenas are nice. So, cool, except for the one that's in St. Pete. I don't like that one, but neither here nor there. Way we play, it's not out of the question. We need to be 8 games better than the first half to have a shot at the playoffs. By Tim Callahan. I don't want to give us the hope that the playoffs are even possible. We're 13 points out. It's so many points at this point in the season. And I know you want to point to the Blues and see what they did last year. And honestly, if the Devils make the playoffs somehow, I don't want to be the team that faces them. But that is quite the hill to climb.
Yeah. Again, my expectations are managed. I just want to see progress. I want to see. I want to trust the process again. It's just a process of getting it back to where it needs to be. But you know what I need to get back to? Beating Vinny Parisi, the Pucks and Pitchforks contributor. Oh yeah, he's playing the game. He's going
Sam,
to try
you're
to
on a roll.
Am I on a roll?
You're on a roll. I think you won at least 3 in a row. It might be up to 5 though.
I finished 2019 with a bang because I had that St. Louis Blues mentality of that calendar year of 2019. But now it's a fresh start, clean slate. Vinny, are you ready to be beaten by the Woo?
What's up, boys? No, I'm not ready to be beat. I'm ready to win.
Oh. All right, Nick, why don't you get us things started?
All right, so tonight, because of that special that's going on ABC, Jeopardy, greatest of all time, with Ken Jennings, James Holzhauer, and the guy nobody cares about, we're going to play Devil's Dirty. I don't know. Jeopardy for the Devils, greatest of all time. So what we have here is I have the 4 greatest Devils in history, in my opinion. And we have 3 questions, a $100 question, a $200 question, and a $300 question for each player. And obviously they kind of, and they're not questions. I have answers. I'm sorry. I have a $100 answer, a $200 answer, and a $300 answer. And you have to give me the question that corresponds with that player. It's just Jeopardy, guys. So the categories are Scott Stevens, Martin Brodeur, Scott Niedermayer, and Patrick Eliash. So, Vinny, how we're going to do this is if you get the question correct, you can pick again, but you can only pick 3 in a row. All right?
Sounds good.
Instead of doing buzzers, since there's delays, the buzzer thing wasn't going to work. Sam was going to have the advantage, and we don't want Sam cheating. So
hey, pardon me.
I got the buzzer if you need it. I got the buzzer.
No, we're good. We got it. So, Vinny, pick your category.
I'll go with Marty Brodeur for 100.
Marty Brodeur for 100. Vinny, Martin Brodeur finished his career with with this many victories, the most in NHL history.
That would be 691.
You are correct. That's 100 points for Vinny.
Whoa. Is he supposed to do a question?
Oh.
I'm throwing
That's
the
true.
flag. We got to go to the replay on that one. I'll let it slide. Because I know I'm going to beat the
Should I
pants off
answer
of
that?
Blake.
What is 691 wins?
Sure. Yeah, something like that. All right. So, Vinny, you got that question. Do you want to go for 200 on Brodeur?
Yes.
Okay. How many, or Martin Brodeur won 4 Vezina trophies in his career. However, he was nominated this many times.
That's a tough one. Just remember that the Hasek years,
Wow.
Marty got screwed. That's all I have to say.
Wow. He had to be top 10 just about every year of his career, I would think. So he won it 4. I'm just going to take a stab and go with my favorite number. I'll go with 9.
Wow. Your favorite number comes through, Vinny. 9 nominations for Martin Brodeur. Sam, that's a bad beat. That's what we call in the betting world a bad beat for you.
Yeah, I just felt like Severson putting the puck in my own net.
So, Vinny, do you want to finish out Martin Brodeur?
Yes. Let's finish
Okay.
out the GOAT for 300.
Martin Brodeur for 300. What cities did Martin Brodeur win his gold medals?
Ooh, I got one easily. One was in Vancouver when Zach tied it up, and then Sidney Crosby won it in overtime. But I'm just going to take a shot in the dark. I have no idea.
5 seconds.
I'll just be a funny guy and say Lake Placid, New York.
Incorrect. Sam, can you steal?
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Could you repeat the question, please, or repeat?
It's what cities did Martin Brodeur win his gold medals?
What is Salt Lake City? What is definitely not Nagano because they broke chairs in Nagano. What is no, I can't steal.
If only you were paying attention.
If only Sam was paying attention, because if you combined your 2 answers, you got it right. But it is Salt Lake City and Vancouver were his 2 gold medals. So nobody gets that. And that's why it's a 300-point question. So, Sam, where are you going with your choice?
Scott Stevens.
Scott Stevens for 100, 200, or 300?
Let's do 300. I want to get it off the board.
Oh. What is the NHL record? Or, I'm sorry. This is the NHL record that Scott Stevens retired with when he ended his career during the 2004 lockout.
It's a record?
Correct.
Is it what record or what number? of the record?
It's the record. What is the record that he ended his career with?
What is plus minus?
Incorrect. Vinny, do you want to steal?
I will make an attempt. What's the question? Repeat it.
Oh, you guys are killing me. What is the record that Scott Stevens ended his career with?
I will go, what is penalty minutes?
Incorrect. The record that Scott Stevens retired with is most games by a defenseman.
Really?
Sam?
Wow.
That's impressive, actually. I didn't know that. That was a dumb answer by me because I should know that it's probably Danico for Devils history, let alone NHL history.
That's true. That's probably true. Sam, what's your next category?
Can we do Scott Stevens again for 200?
Sure. What province was Scott Stevens born in?
What is Ontario?
Correct. Sam's on the board.
Slick.
Sam, do you want to finish out Scott Stevens, or do you want to go for somebody else with your last question attempt?
Is Scott Niedermayer on there?
He is.
Let's go with Scott Niedermayer for 300.
Scott Niedermayer for 300. Scott Niedermayer has won 7 different kinds of championships throughout his career.
Oh, no. You're kidding.
Name 5 of them.
Stanley Cup.
Okay.
Olympic gold. Now I'm down to 3. Major juniors.
I need the name of the cup.
Memorial Cup. There's 2 others. Jeez. Pee Wee hockey and what is the Keystone Cup?
That is incorrect. Vinny, can you steal?
Okay, so he said Stanley Cup, Memorial Cup, Olympic gold medal.
But I didn't say if they were right or not.
I'll add World Junior Championships. I'll add World Championships, the one in the summer. And
That's
then
not the
I'll
name of
add the IIHF World Championships. Isn't that what it's called?
It wasn't called the World Championships in the summer.
I said the one in the summer. The IIHF World Championships. And the last one, I'll go the World Cup of Hockey.
It's very good, Vinny. Very good. Yeah, Vinny gets the points there.
No.
So you won them.
Really?
The Memorial Cup, World Junior Championship, the IIHF World Championship gold, 2 hockey Olympic gold medals, 4 Stanley Cups, and the World Cup of Hockey. So,
what were
Vinny,
the other 2?
I guess there were 6. So it was Memorial Cup, World Junior Championship, IIHF World Championship, Olympic gold medal, Stanley Cup, World Cup. See, I think I did the Calder Cup in my head, but he didn't win that. So that's my bad. But either way, you would have had to name the ones anyway. So, Vinny, you get the points there. Do you want to stick to Scott Niedermayer, or do you want to move on to... We still have Scott Stevens for 100, Niedermayer for 1 and 200, and then Elias the entire board.
I'll try Elias for 100.
Okay. What year did Patrick Elias break the all-time Devils scoring record?
The all-time Devils scoring record. I believe that would be the year after they won the cup or the year they won the cup. I'll go the year after, 2001.
The all-time scoring record?
Oh, their all-time score. I thought you meant the single season one. The all-time Devil scoring record? Oh, that's got to
You're
be
also
way
not
later.
saying questions. I'm punishing you for getting the question wrong and not asking questions. So I'm giving Sam the chance to steal.
I wasn't paying attention. Again.
Oh my God. None of you get the points. You're both wrong.
We deserve that.
What is
Patrick
2009?
No, it was 2011.
I was going to say
All
09 too.
All right, Vinny. What's your next category?
I'll come up to 200 for Elias.
Patrick Eliash's most famous play as a Devil is probably his assist to Jason Arnott on the Stanley Cup winning goal in the year 2000. Who had the secondary assist on that goal?
Oh, man.
I know this one.
Wow.
I'm going to
Man, I was like
steal this
6 years
one.
old.
I just got to pay
I was
attention.
6 years old.
All right, Vinny.
I'm going to go not completely off. I'm going to pick a defense. I'm going to go Scott Niedermayer.
That is incorrect. Sam, you seem like you know this one.
I think he just flipped it into the zone with his backhand. So I would say, who is Scott Stevens?
Scott Stevens is correct.
Ooh.
Sam coming in hot. All right, Sam.
I'm paying attention.
Yeah. All right. So who are you going with next, Sam?
Just interrupt. Ramona Rice says, Sam, you're going down. No, Ramona Rice. Sam is making a comeback. I will go with who's left on the board?
You have 300 for Elias, 1 and 200 for Niedermeyer. And
I'll take 300 Elias. I'll take 300 Elias.
I think you're going to get this one. Name the situation that caused this is the situation that caused Patrick Elias to lose the captaincy.
Oh, crap. I don't really remember. What was the situation? Who did it go to? I think it went to Langenbrunner, right? But what was the situation? Contract? You wanted to spend more time with the family? Language barrier? Could you repeat the question again? You said, what was the situation, like the reason why?
Basically.
Huh. I never really paid attention back then about why. It's like, he loses a C, he keeps the A. No big deal.
Maybe Sam doesn't know anything after the year 2000. That's what I'm learning.
Yeah. No, I can't answer it. I bet you Vinny can.
All right, Vinny, can you steal?
Yeah, didn't he have hepatitis?
That wasn't the reason why.
That is incorrect.
He wasn't the captain, Vinny.
So what had happened is he became the captain of the year. He came back with the diagnosis. They gave him the captaincy. He signed for a long-term deal. He got 7 years. And then Mr. Lou Lamoriello fired Claude Julien right before the playoffs. And then they hired, I believe, Brett Sutter. And Brett Sutter wanted to name his own captain and basically stripped Elias of the C and gave it to Langenbrunner. I would have accepted a myriad of answers, but nothing and hepatitis were not one of them. So Sam, I think you have one more guess in you. So you got 100 for Niedermeyer, 200 for Niedermeyer, and then 100 for Stevens.
Let me ask you this. What's the score right now?
You're making me do math. You have 400. You're losing right now. Vinny has...
Shut up, Vinny.
Vinny has 600. So it's 300 to 600.
All right.
No, it's 400 to 600. I'm sorry.
I got to go with the 200. Michael Bradley, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. A Devils defenseman has scored. You're doing Niedermeyer for 200, right? That's the only 200 that's up on the board.
Yep.
A Devils defenseman has scored 10 goals 18 times in history. Niedermeyer has done it this many times.
As a Devil or in his NHL career?
Yeah, this is only talking about New Jersey Devils history.
What is 12?
Incorrect. Vinny, can you steal? And this would win you the game.
I'm gonna make an attempt. He was a Devil for 13 seasons. I'm almost positive of it. I'm gonna say I'll go 11. You said 12. I'll go 11.
Niedermeyer scored 10 goals in his Devils career 7 times. 7 times. So, Sam, you have the chance to tie. So I'm going to split the next 2 questions.
Wow.
I'm going to ask Vinny the first one because I'm pretty sure, Sam, you know this one. So Scott Niedermeyer for 100. Name the player that Lou Lamoriello traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs that ended up being the first-round pick that they used to choose Scott Niedermeyer.
Who is Brendan Shanahan?
It is not correct. It is not correct. Sam?
The opening, I got a little bit of hope. I feel like the Devils making the playoffs. I got a little bit of an opening. Who is Tom Curvers?
No chance.
Tom Curver is correct. It all comes down to one.
Is there
100 questions? There's one 100-point question. Sam, how many years total was Scott Stevens in the NHL?
What is 20?
Incorrect, Sam.
Oh,
the correct answer you were looking for.
That lockout screwed me up.
2.
I was trying to make up excuses.
22 seasons Scott Stevens spent in the NHL. He ended it with the most career games in defenseman history. So, Sam, your undefeated streak is now a defeated streak.
Congratulations, Vinny.
Is that twice I ended a Sam winning streak? I believe it is.
You know what, Vinny? I could just mute you right now, but I'll take it like a man. Congratulations.
It was close.
Vinny.
It was close.
I was off by 2 seasons. I was off by 2 seasons. I wonder if that lockout was also included because technically he played till 2005, but he really didn't. I'm going to count with my fingers. Where did it start? 82?
Yeah.
Just go to Hockey Reference, Sam.
You know what? If you add in the strike and the lockout in 495. Really, you could take, and the lockout in 2004, you could really eliminate 2 of those seasons.
That would add seasons, Sam. That would be 24.
Never mind. Shut up, Vinny. I'm going to mute you. That is Vinny Parisi. I'm just going to kick him off. I'm going to kick him off. Just going to see. I just silenced him because I can.
Well,
It's
I
all
will
right.
plug Vinny's content real quick. Vinny's been doing a lot on the coaching searches. He's been doing a couple things on the pregame and the postgame. So check out Vinny's stuff. We got a lot of we've been focusing on. I've been doing a little bit of focusing on the trade deadline. Looking ahead at that. Vinny's been looking at who are the possible coaches the Devils should look at and who they shouldn't look at more specifically. And I'll give you a clue. A lot of these fired coaches, Vinny's not sold on.
Yeah.
We
Well,
didn't even talk about John Hines getting a job already. How did that happen?
I know how it happened. He's slick. He's probably working the phones. He's probably like, hey, guys, I'm a free agent right now. I can go anywhere I want. But you know what? I mean, it remains to be seen, what he can do in Nashville. I'd be really pissed and wonder why, if he turns Nashville into a Stanley Cup champion, then we all have to look at what happened in New Jersey. I mean, I wonder if he's going to be doing the same exact things that he was doing in New Jersey. Should be interesting. Who we should get is Jim Diamond. He's a reporter in Nashville. Maybe a couple months down the road, maybe we should get him on just for fun and see what he thinks. I know Jim. He's a good guy. But because I'm kind of interested to see how that all turns out in Nashville.
Yeah, absolutely. We have options, Sam. We have options here with the State of the Fan address.
Yeah, or maybe we'll just go to Nashville and ask Jim ourselves. Podcast down there.
That's next on my vacation list, so
yeah,
that'll give me an excuse. I love Nashville. Nashville's great, except for a guy spit on me when I was there once. That wasn't good. Besides that, it was great.
How was the barbecue? Pretty good?
It was good.
All right. Well, one last plug. I'll be at PJ Ryan's Sunday night with Bruce Driver, pregame podcast. Bruce and I on the Woo Report. We're going to talk all things Devils. Talk to the crowd, talk to the people. Come stop by 35 Edison Place in beautiful Newark, New Jersey, across the street from the Prudential Center. Nick, this was a great podcast. It was finally, we got 2020 under our belts. Sorry about New Year's Day. Had some issues, but we resolved it. You look good. You sound good. It's going to be a great 2020.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this year. I think it's going to be a fun year.
All right. Well, any last comments, Nick?
I'm very excited to beat the Rangers tomorrow.
Bold predictions. Bold prediction. Well, I may do a Woo Report after the game. But definitely I'll be there Sunday at PJ Ryan's. Till next time, Devils fans. Let's go Devils.